My name is Kevin Oliver Jr. I play the saxophone, and I have an album coming out January 10th called Oliver. I started playing the saxophone because my parents told me that I had to pick an instrument, so it was kind of not by choice. But I was really glad and happy to play an instrument because I saw my big sister, Olivia, she played the flute, and I kind of wanted to be just like her in a way. So I started playing the saxophone and I fell in love with it. It's kind of crazy. At first I wanted to play the trumpet, but I couldn't make a sound out of the mouthpiece, so I like to think that saxophone chose me in a way. Yeah, I try to write and play music that's digestible and honest. I try to write music that's intuitive. Like for me, man, if I have a song and I bring it to the bandstand, like I bring it to my musicians, if it takes longer than like one or two tries for us to like work it out, that might not be the right song for me. You know what I mean? I heard this advice that was like, the best songs that you'll ever write are the ones that you write in 5 minutes. And I take that to heart. I would say the living life part. You know what I mean? I try to write music that imitates life. You know what I mean? Try to write music that is honest. And to find that honesty, you got to go out in the world and do stuff and, you know, just sit and be. And I want to focus on, you know, I got to get better at this. I got to get better at this. But the music that has spoken to me the most and that I hope speaks to other people the most is the music that has just come from things that I couldn't control, like things that have happened in my life or interactions that I've had with people. And you can only do that by getting offline, going outside, and actually experiencing and living life. There's 7. That's important too, because I was born July 7th, and 7 is a divine number, you know, it's the number of completion. So I love that number, it's my favorite number. And me being born on July 7th, 7/7, it just, there's only one way that it could be in those 7 songs in this album, so yeah. So the first song on the album is called Jokes on Me. It's actually dedicated to comedians, and I know, Sy, you're a comedian. Thank you for doing this. Yeah. We actually met at an open mic. That's how we met. Sy's a great comedian, a great interviewer. But I have so much respect for comedians, and I did stand-up comedy for a while. You know, so this is kind of my ode to them and kind of like, you know, just being playful a little bit. Playful music is so beautiful, you know what I mean? So Jokes on Me is like kind of my ode to that. I was watching a lot of stand-up in high school. Like there was a point in time where I could recite every Dave Chappelle special by memory. At the time, that was like 7 or 8 hours of just stuff. And I had seen every comedy special on Netflix and everything. So Jokes on Me, that's for the comedians. You know, there's so many out there that I have a lot of great deal of respect for, like Jordan Temple, Gavin Matz, Eagle Witt, Brittany Carney, Sy Schimberg, our brother Wyatt Figredo, you know what I mean? Like Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr. Like there was a time when I was in college and I would literally like try my best to follow Dave Chappelle around on tour. Like I got to see Sticks and Stones be filmed and recorded. Yeah, there was one time he does these like secret shows at this comedy club called The Stand, and the tickets were like $200, and I was like, I don't have $200. But at the time I was a comic, so I just kind of waited around. We were waiting outside the stand. You were with me, Sy was with me. We waited and waited and waited and waited to see if we could get in. And I waited long enough. It was like around like midnight, it was 12:30 around the time that I was able to get in. And like the comics were looking at me like, what are you doing here? I was like, shh, you know. But I got to see Dave Chappelle like do the, I think it was the material from The Closer. I think that was it. And then one time I went to Connecticut to go see Dave Chappelle. Like I didn't have a hotel. I just went. And I went to this casino, traveled there, didn't have a car either. So I was taking the train and sitting and walking and doing all this different types of stuff. I had to stay up all night just because I couldn't sleep. I was just walking around the casino until I had to leave in the morning. Yeah. I wouldn't say so. I feel like, you know, it's all on the creative side. I feel like people naturally write a certain type of music, and to create an album you got to have some variety. That's one thing that I really love about this album, is it has so much variety. Like when I was getting it mixed, Dave Darlington, he described it as like, oh, it's kind of like Americana, just kind of like all the things that like American music kind of encompasses. And I would definitely agree with that. But it's all part of life and all part of like the creative umbrella. Man, we've been working on this album for years, actually. When I first got to New York, when I first went to school, I was trying people out and like workshopping my music from day one, basically. And that was 6 years ago. So, and then we've been playing gigs for years and years and years, and then we were able to record the album last year. And we're about to release it January 10th. So I would say at least 5 years working on this one album. Nah. Got some folks honking out there. New York City, you can't, you know.
Yeah.
All right, man. That seems excessive, right? Atlanta, I'm more relaxed, you know. I'm coming back home. It's more familiar and everything. That's where I learned to play, you know. I had a bunch of great teachers and everything, and I learned in not Atlanta public schools, but Fulton County schools in Atlanta. Just like I started learning how to play in public school, and I used to busk on the street. Like I used to just go out and play for tips and things like that. So Atlanta is like where I'm comfortable at, you know. New York is different though. New York is like, it's a different beast. There's a sea of saxophone players, and I'm not gonna say it's competitive, but it's not really competitive because we're all working together and everything. But it could be nerve-wracking, just the types of things that you think about New York, like, oh, it's New York, like it's kind of the mecca of what we do. So everybody here plays at a very high level. Everybody in Atlanta plays at a very high level, but there's just such a high concentration that you're a little more on edge. You kind of feel like you have something to prove. When I'm back in Atlanta, like it's just a beautiful thing. Like we can just chill and make music and try to connect with each other, which I feel like is, you know, that's when music is at its best. Yeah, Gambino. Gambino is probably my favorite song on the album. If you don't listen to anything on the album, I would say listen to Gambino from the beginning to the end, because that's definitely the statement that I'm trying to make. So I'm from Atlanta, and Gambino, my song Gambino, is an ode to Atlanta. Like I love Atlanta, everything that it's about: freedom, blackness, love, camaraderie, just like, you know, it's not too expensive, you know. I love Atlanta, bro. I just feel like I can be free in Atlanta, and it was just a great way to grow up. So Gambino is an ode to Atlanta and all the music that I heard growing up, you know what I mean? It was like a lot of hip hop, a lot of trap music. I'm not out there trapping at all. I mean, look at me, you know what I mean? But if you grew up in Atlanta, there's no way you could escape that. Like the sound just kind of reverberates in the streets, you know what I mean? Like Lil Baby, Gunna, all those different types of things. And also Childish Gambino, Donald Glover with the whole Atlanta show and everything. Like if you're a young black person creating anything in Atlanta growing up, Donald Glover was somebody that you really looked up to and really wanted to be like. So this is a tribute to him and a tribute to all the beautiful people that make Atlanta so great. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you know, I would consider that like a trap song, even though it's on a jazz album. But this guy, Christian Scott Atunde Adjoa, he kind of hit the nail on the head with this, just kind of like combining improvised music and sounds that are popular in the American musical landscape today. But he also like included like all different other types of cultures and all different other types of musical techniques, all different types of musical instruments and things. It was very creative and very inspiring to me when I was growing up. Like Braxton Cook, Elena Pender Hughes, that band with Christian Scott Atunde Adjoa. I mean, they definitely shaped my vision a lot. I want to have my own individual unique sound, but I would be lying to you if I didn't say I was heavily inspired by all those people. It's kind of unpopular in America compared to other, you know, genres and things like that. I wish that wasn't the case, because this is one of the most American things that we have. It's one of the first art forms that was developed here in America. The whole music is a metaphor for democracy. Like we're all coming together, working together, and bringing our different perspectives and ideas, and just going along and trying to make something beautiful. You know what I mean? That's what America is really all about. But I will say though that I think that in order for more people to listen to our music, we have to kind of invite them in. Like there has been kind of a stigma throughout the whole like lifespan of our music that like, oh, you just gotta get it, man. If you don't get it, you're not hip. You know what I mean? Which is like there is a certain level of unspokenness to it that makes it beautiful, that makes the culture beautiful. But I definitely think that we could do a better job of trying to usher in people who may not listen to jazz on the regular and try to invite them in. You know what I mean? Because for me personally, my ideal situation is just a big love fest where, you know, we got all different types of people, all different walks of life, just coming together and appreciating something beautiful and realizing what makes us all beautiful. That was something that I really grasped and learned from living in New York, because I met so many different people of so many diverse backgrounds. Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about art, man. Especially like what I create. Like I write songs and I play them on the saxophone. There are no words. Like I could have a specific intention when I write it, and somebody else could have a completely different interpretation when they hear it. And that's a beautiful thing. Like I just put it out there, and hope that it affects you in some way. I don't really care if it's a specific way, but I want it to affect you in some way when you're listening to it. And if I do that, then I can die peacefully. I've done my job. Yeah, how's it so, man? That's for all the folks who get left on red. That's for all the hopeless romantics, man. How's it so? I was going through it when I wrote that one. I was in college and, you know, just trying to find some love in a loveless world. And, you know, it's kind of gets to that feeling of yearning of like, oh, I would, you know, just searching for a love that you can't find and everything. Yearning and just kind of that kind of feeling, such a beautiful feeling. And one of my favorite artists who captures that is Cecilia Lawrence Avant. Like in high school, I used to listen to her so much. The Dreams and Daggers album, that Langston Hughes poem that she put music to, Somehow I Never Could Believe, that really encapsulates that feeling of yearning. And it goes all over the place, honestly, but it's just a beautiful thing and it inspired me so much. Cecile inspires me every day. So just getting to that feeling of yearning, I was hoping that we could do that. I feel like we get pretty close. So how's it so? That's for the lovers. You know,
You are romantic.
I am a romantic for sure. Flowers, handwritten letters, but I'm just showing love, you know. I don't know if you're into like zodiac signs and all that, but I'm a Cancer and we're like real lovey-dovey and ushy-gushy. So, yeah. Yeah, this was the one for my mom. This one's definitely on the sadder side of things. So like right before I went to school, it was 2018. Graduated from college and everything. Family life was going great. But that summer was kind of where everything hit the fan. It was a really sad time for my family because I was worried about my mom. She had some things going on with her, and I was really worried because that had never really happened before. And I thought I was gonna lose her. I was really confused. I didn't know what was happening. And like the only place that I could turn to where I could express what I really wanted to express was the piano and writing music, just because I'm not the best at expressing myself with words. Like you might think I might be kind of articulate in this interview, but the best way that I express myself is on the saxophone. That it can get to those things, like the crevices and the nooks and crannies of the things that I want to express that I can't with words. So I was writing that song, and it just came out, man. And when I was done writing it, I was like literally in tears crying, just because I was so happy to just get that feeling out. And that was the feeling that I was feeling. And the recording, Jayla, Gary, and especially Seth, they play so beautifully. And I'm just kind of at the end, there's like this huge release. That's another one of my favorite moments on the album. Just being able to sing my little heart out for my mom. I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my sisters, I love my family. And my music is definitely going to reflect that going forward. So as musicians, you're like, how do we write songs when you're improvising most of the time? Is it all improvisation? Sometimes yes, but most of the time no. We write the melody and like the kind of the structure. We give the basic structure, and within that structure, it's like a cycle. And each time we go through the cycle, we can do different things with the structure. It's kind of a beautiful thing. So when I'm writing songs, I write the melody and I write the chord changes. So we play the melody usually, and then we'll improvise over the chord changes. So that gives the band the freedom to explore and go different places and do a lot of cool stuff. That's an interesting question. So, like, people are bilingual. It's like, do you think in Spanish or do you think in English? I think, and I obviously think in English, but I also, like, I think in music, like in melody. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be walking down the street, and melodies will just be playing in my head just from like memory and things like that. And then also, like, when I'm playing, I'm like singing the melody to myself. Like, um, the melody is our language. And the beautiful thing about melody is it's a universal language. When done correctly, it can affect people of all different walks of life, all different ethnicities, all different languages, all different everything. So yeah, definitely thinking music. The whole story behind Oliver and me creating it was I graduated from school and I was like, all right, definitely want to create an album. But there was so much that happened in school that I had to reflect and really digest. And I don't know, like, who knows? Like when you go to a school like that and you're studying music, you have all these different things in your mind of like, oh, did I do this right? Am I hitting this mark? Am I missing the mark? You know what I mean? So I definitely had to go through like a self-development journey, and Oliver is the byproduct of that. You know what I mean? Since I graduated school, I had to find a job and then, try to get out of that job and try to, make music my full-time thing. And I had to try to really reflect on myself and try to like humble myself and try to be a better person each day. Because I went to Juilliard, and when you go to Juilliard, when you first get in, at least for me, I was like, oh my gosh, it was a lifelong dream fulfilled. I had prayed every day since I was in like 7th grade to try to go to Juilliard, and I was blessed with that opportunity. Once I got in, my confidence went way up. I was talking to this with my friend Clay Esterman, he plays piano. It's like, wow, you sound different, man. It's like, yeah, my confidence went way up. And with the confidence boost comes the ego boost. And with the ego boost comes so many terrible things, man. And I was trying to do comedy at the same time. So just letting my mind have that freedom to go wherever it wanted, I needed something to put me back in check. And I feel like God definitely put me on a journey where he humbled me, stripped me of a lot of stuff, and was like, listen, man, you're not here for any type of ego or like putting you on a pedestal. You're here to do what I told you to, like the plan that I have for your life. You're here to fulfill it. So now I understand that. And I try to, see myself as less than other people now. I try to, be more honest. I try to be more loving, try to let go of all the hate, all the jealousy in my heart. And Oliver is really just a byproduct of that, because it was a long journey, and I feel like I really hit my stride around the time that Oliver was being recorded. I recorded it in October of 2023, and that was a real special time, man. I just kind of locked myself in a room and was just like, all right, I got to do this, like really focused. So I was just like, this is the moment. This is the moment. I had scheduled a recording session, and most recording sessions are like 8 hours. This recording session was 2 hours, and we had to get the whole album done, essentially. Every song besides what I just said. So I was like, all right, there's not going to be any time to play around. We've been developing this music for years. Let's just get in here and record it. And, I was just practicing as much as I could have. And I will say that was as good as that recording session could have gone. That was my best work. That was me putting my best self forward. And it was a great documentation of the best that I could do. And none of that could have been possible if God hadn't humbled me, and if I hadn't reflected, and if I hadn't been trying to work and to try and be a better person each day. Faith is like trust, you know what I mean? And you can't have a relationship without trust. And I feel like a relationship with, especially if you have like a deity in your spirituality, like that's a relationship between you and God, or you and whatever you believe in. I want to love and accept everybody, you know what I mean? So just having trust that God is taking you on a path and that he's not going to leave you is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned on this journey. I've learned so many lessons. I learned that you need a team. Okay, so this album, I produced it myself, wrote all the music, got the band, like fully self-independent, everything. I would not recommend doing that at all. Because, there's just so many things, and just like me doing it my first time, There were so many things that I wish I would have known, a lot of resources that was wasted. But I will say at the end of the day, I feel like everything is turned out exactly how it was supposed to. So everything turned out okay, but always have some people advising you on what to do. And yeah, man, I'm so grateful to so many of my teachers, like Sakina Walker. She was my first saxophone teacher and band director. She really ignited my love for music. Like if there was a hall of fame for people who taught people how to play music, I think Miss Walker would be the first person, and she has such a great track record. Joe Jennings was another one of my great saxophone teachers, probably my main teacher over my lifespan. He used to be the jazz studies director at Spelman College, just a musician of the highest order, and everything I know about music stems from Joe Jennings. Gordon Verner, Kevin Bales, Mace Hibbard, all those guys at Georgia State, they're amazing and beautiful. Kebby Williams and Russell Gunn, they taught me a lot, but more so just like how they carry themselves and how they play, and like, how they actually, interact. Everybody on the Atlanta scene, the Robertson family, Morgan Guerin has been such a great help, especially when I was younger. Like he taught me how to transcribe. Like we were both in high school, but I was like, I need to learn from him. There's so many great musicians on the Atlanta scene today that are young, like Devin Gates, Curtis Olawumi, and Mwanzi Harriet. We're all here, and we're all, we're trying to make our presence felt on the scene. And I feel like we're definitely going to do that. My brother, Joshua Williams, he plays tuba. This man has been the closest person to me for the longest. And we both started playing music together and inspired me, and I would be nowhere without him, really. And there's a bunch more people like Ron Blake and Bruce Williams. I'm so grateful for all the things that they taught me at school and everything. And India Owens is definitely somebody that is just a great inspiration to me, because she leads by example. You know what I mean? She's not only just a great musician, a positive person to be around, and a great leader, but she really takes the time and uses her resources and all these different types of things to propel her nonprofit, the Community Cookout, which has been such a huge inspiration to me. Like she wants to feed people spiritually, but also physically, which I feel like is a very important thing. Yeah, well, I'm really passionate about music education. Like if anybody wants to learn, I want to teach them. Like if you want to learn and are thirsty for the knowledge, I want to give it away. And I feel like one of the biggest things that's a problem in our society today, or maybe not one of the biggest things, but is, something that I think about all the time, is we need to put music education back into the schools. You know what I mean? Like when I started fourth grade, we had music in public schools. In the fifth grade, they took it out, but I was able to do it with the after school program and things like that. And my life would not be possible if I did not have that opportunity to learn an instrument and to really study. So I would be remiss, and I would not be doing my job if I was not amplifying the message that we need to keep music in public schools. We need to keep giving people the opportunity to learn instruments in public schools. Like talk to your politicians, talk to the people who are making decisions, because there's so many good things that come with learning an instrument. You learn discipline, you learn integrity, you learn how to keep working on something, you learn resilience. Music is applied math, it's applied science, it's applied language. There's so many different things. You learn how to develop your body, you learn how to critical think. Like if you're not allowing your children to explore that and learn how to play an instrument, you're doing them a huge disservice. I say with music, man, the earlier you start, the better. Like if you're out there and you're a parent and you're like, is it too early for my child to start playing music? No, I don't think so. I started at 8, which I think is kind of late, because I know a bunch of people who are like prodigies and started at like 4 or 5. But 8 is like moderately early. It definitely helped me out. And yeah, I feel like after 16 years, you start to feel like you and the instrument are kind of one in a way.